Hi everyone, here's what's bothering me today. So, there's already a lot of news about Sir John A. Macdonald, and I kind of wanted to touch on that, but I've already made a video about him, and I'm planning on doing a proper deep dive at some point in the future just to really put to bed the notion that this man should be celebrated at all. But that's beside the point. What I want to talk about today is about what's happened recently with a piece from the Globe and Mail about the NDP MP from Nunavut, Mumilaaq Qaqqaq. Now, she's a young Inuit girl, and she had been elected, and she has decided not to seek re-election. And she, in her farewell speech, made quite a few revelations about how Parliament is. And she had to get to the point where, when she would be alone in these elevators and whatnot, she would try and reassure herself, I belong here, I belong here, I belong here. Because in many ways she felt like she didn't belong, being chased after by security because they thought that, she wasn't where she was supposed to be, not being an actual MP, a part of the political establishment, if you will. Being asked by her colleagues if she was someone's assistant. Oh, whose assistant are you? Not at all surprising in many cases, because these are, maybe you could call them microaggressions, or you could call them instances of a lack of cultural awareness in the workplace, because those two instances of being chased after by security or being asked whose assistant you are when you are an actual MP shows how Parliament is set up and who it's actually for. Parliament is clearly for the older, generally wealthier, more established political elites and from family dynasties, and the idea of young teenagers or young adults, especially if they're people of color, being in the halls of power. Oh, you must be one of the new token assistants. Yes, so where can we direct you? As opposed to, I'm a representative of a part of Canada that often gets ignored. That is really, really troubling. And it's definitely what's bothering me today, which, again, we have an Indigenous woman who is being treated without the respect she's actually due in the halls of power because of people's assumptions of both her people and their current positions of power. The people in Parliament overwhelmingly, and as people will find out in an upcoming project with Matthew Green that I did, people will find that there is far too much concentration of power in just a handful of people in Parliament. It's really quite scary and begins to make you wonder if you actually live in a democracy at all. These halls of power, which claim to represent the people, do not treat the people with respect when the people themselves manage to get into said halls of power. Mumilaaq Qaqqaq had to face that over her entire brief tenure as an NDP MP for the territory of Nunavut. It should be absolutely shameful and embarrassing for those who said these comments and stopped her and just decided to not take her seriously because she's not a 50 or 60-year-old predominantly white person with a long established career in the law or working within a political sphere. She was a young person trying to make a difference. And that was made all the more difficult by her supposed colleagues in Parliament. That is something that should make us really pause and reflect. But we aren't really. And already I can tell this story is going to die by Monday, when really it should be something that we think about all the time, and who's representing us and how they feel about us and how they view us, the people who put them into these positions of power. Or is it really someone else who's putting them into those positions of power? There are lots of questions that arise from this situation, but we aren't asking any of them, and that's what's bothering me today.